Why do you think God allows suffering and evil?
Yeah, that is a big topic. It's a good topic to talk about because it's an important topic for a lot of people, and it comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And it also comes up in my conversations with people about why they don't, why they're not in church, why they're not, following the Lord, why they're not practicing their faith or their Christianity,
Yeah.
or they're deconstructing their Christianity, like actually taking it apart. So why evil? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen, in general? And I think you have to go all the way back to Genesis. How could a perfect, loving, omnipotent, omniscient God, how can anything evil come from that?
Yeah.
How can something evil come when there was no evil before and God is not? And I think the short answer would be if you look back in the garden, Adam and Eve, God put Adam and Eve in the garden
Yeah.
and created this, mecca of, I mean, all inclusive, resort, beautiful, amazing, and then said, you guys, and this is really cool because this is God's heart. He said, you can do whatever you want. You can have it all. I mean, have at it. Just don't do this one thing. And that is so God's heart because,
Yeah.
people think, well, God, it's just a bunch of rules. It's just a bunch of Christianity is just like limiting. And it's actually not. It's actually freeing.
Yeah.
And from the beginning, God said, look, just don't do one thing.
Yeah.
And so and the big question is, why did God put the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the garden? Why did God give them an opportunity to screw up? But then you've got to run that through what we know about God. The Bible says God is love. Is. In other words, the very essence of God is love. So if he's love, if that's what he is, if that's who he is,
Yeah.
if that is the essence of his whole existence is love, then love necessitates a choice. There has to be a choice. There has to be the ability for mankind to choose whether they want to love him back or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you really love someone, if you truly love them, you're going to respect their choices. And that is the risk of falling in love with someone, is that they could wake up one morning and just realize, you know what, I don't want to be with you anymore. But that's really what love is. Love gives the other person the choice to reciprocate it back or not. And God took a big risk when he didn't create robots. So evil came into the world because God gave us the choice whether we want to follow him or not. God gave us the choice if we want to be good or evil.
Yeah.
And obviously this choice was even given to the angels,
Yeah.
even before Adam and Eve, because Satan, Lucifer, when Lucifer was stricken with pride and hubris, well, so God even this is weird, but God even created the angels with the capacity to either love him or not.
Yeah.
So, people are like, wow, how could a loving God create evil? The real question is, how could a loving God not give us the choice to follow in him, follow good, follow righteousness, or destroy ourselves, which we have the choice. Every person has the choice of if we want to do the right thing today or we want to blow it today. And, we all, to some degree, blow it because we're not robots. And so when we think of it like that, it makes a lot of sense that, well, God really does love me. He loves me enough that if I want, he will allow me to destroy my life. But that's really what love is. Anything else is control, manipulation. Anything else is a skewed, like, coercive type of response. And so I think that's the very foundation of why is there evil, because God gave us the ability to do what we want to do. And after Satan fell and a third of the angels went with him, then Satan and all of his hordes of demons have committed their lives to destroying, disrupting, and all, and just coming against the work of the Lord on the earth. And so that is what has perpetuated evil. In other words, Satan is trying to take advantage of the love of God by twisting people to reject him. And here we are today.
It's good. You illustrated that point perfectly. It's like, why would God, create us to be robots if he truly loved us? Like, God would give us a choice. That's what love is. I was in a restaurant with an atheist, and we were talking back and forth about this. And he was like, why would God allow suffering? Why would he allow evil?
Yeah.
And I was like, you love your girlfriend. Like, you love her, and you give her a choice to love you back. If you made her love you, you wouldn't truly love her.
Right.
And that's what free will is. Like,
yeah.
Suffering and pain, they're both a consequence of free will, but so is intimacy and love.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, a lot of people like to focus on the pain, focus on the suffering of the world, and question that. Like, why is there pain and suffering? Well, why is there love and intimacy? Why is there grace? Why is there kindness? Why is there goodness?
Yeah.
There's two sides on the same coin all the time.
That's good.
So, and that's also a good consequence of free will. Us being fully able to understand that love, understand that intimacy, because we can turn away at any point. We can walk away.
Right.
And we know that God is all love. He is all good. He is all gracious. He is everything that embodies, good, the good characteristics.
Right.
And when we turn away from that, guess what? We're turning away from those characteristics. And then that allows evil to come into our lives.
Yeah.
And that is ultimately where suffering and pain comes from.
Right.
Is the conscious turn away from God. It's consciously turning away from God and following evil, following what you want to do, following what the world wants you to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're a Christian listening to this, like, God will put suffering, he'll put pain in your life to make you a better person.
Sure.
Romans 8:20.
Right.
For we know that for everyone who loves God, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. Like,
right. Yeah.
If you're called according to God's purpose and you're a Christian, like, pain and suffering is going to happen. It's just like, it's part of the game, like we talked about this, I believe, last podcast. Like, it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
There's going to be hardships. There's going to be pain.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if we have a positive mindset and we look to God through the midst of everything we go through, it'll work out for our good.
Right.
Yeah, so sometimes it's for character development.
Yeah.
I can look back in my life and see areas where I suffered, see areas where I went through a lot of crap, and it made me the man I am today. It made me a better person.
Right. I mean, it's so good. I mean, such a good point that God allows these things to come into our lives for our development. And, I would even say that there are things that God doesn't. There's bad things that happen to good people that I don't think had anything to do with God.
Precisely, yeah.
Jesus said, guys, look, in this world, you're going to have trouble. The nature of a fallen world that has been redeemed, but we are still, though, not in the fullness of that redemption until the age to come. Just by nature of that, we are going to encounter things, trouble, evil. We're going to encounter sickness and different things like that. And it wasn't a result of any kind of our disobedience. You know what I mean? We're going to, and that was Job's big problem that he couldn't grasp, is that God was like, Job, you can do everything right. You can get up in the morning and have a quiet time. You can get up and even sacrifice. Job sacrificed in advance for his children of the sins that they might do. I mean, that is how.
Yeah, it's preparation.
That is how. That's like, obsessive.
Yeah.
He was obsessively righteous. But then look at all this stuff that happened to him. And God showed him, Job, it doesn't matter sometimes.
Yeah.
You could be the most righteous person on the earth, and bad things are still going to happen to you. And then God never really did explain to him why. You know,
Yeah.
the age-old question is, well, why? Why do bad things happen to the righteous? And Job even asked that, and God was just like, where were you when I made it? Where
Yeah,
were you when
exactly.
the whirlwind, and
Yeah.
where were you when Leviathan? I mean, God is just like kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to really answer that because I don't have to.
That's good.
And so Job learned that even in his righteousness, there's still going to be chaos and difficulty at times. So some of the chaos and the suffering comes from our decisions,
Yeah.
but some of it doesn't. And those are the. But then, like you said, Romans 8, all things work for the good for those who are
Precisely.
called. Whether it was you blowing
Yeah.
it, or whether it was just you, life happens. God's going to work it into something beautiful because, and I said this yesterday in our church service, I'm like, God does his best work in chaos. He does his best work. That's where God is there. Wherever the chaos is, God's there because it's like a magnet,
Yeah.
for him to come
Yeah.
in and want to do his best work.